Hey guys, welcome back. So today we're out at the range to do a first shots video with the Ruger Security 9. I know it's not a brand new handgun. You've seen other people on the interwebs talking about it. I've had it for a little while, but I finally decided to come out to the range and shoot the little handgun. So this is the box that the Ruger Security 9 comes in, and it kind of fits into a niche market that Glock carved out some time ago with the Glock 19. The Glock 19 seems to be that perfect sized carry gun for a lot of American shooters who carry concealed weapons for personal defense. And so the Security 9 is roughly the same size as the Glock 19, but we've seen other companies like Smith & Wesson. They made their M&P series of pistols now. They offer one that's roughly the same size as the Glock 19. We have the P10C from CZ, which is a striker-fired handgun polymer frame that also is roughly the same size as the Glock 19. So it seems to be that magical size, and Ruger wanted to capitalize on it with their new Security 9. So here we have a brand new Security 9 in the box. We're going to take it out and do what we always do, and some of you guys give me grief for doing, and that's to shoot the gun right out of the box without putting a drop of oil on it. I'm just kind of curious to see how the gun works. In my opinion, most guns should work right out of the box. They're not complex machines. It's not like it's an engine in a car that has thousands of moving parts. These are very simple machines. So in my mind, you should be able to take them right out of the box and shoot them. The gun does look like it's fairly dry. Sometimes they'll come with you know, some sort of like lithium grease on them, or they'll be oiled up. This one seems to be pretty dry, but it moves pretty smoothly. So this is the Security 9. Now, it's meant to be a very affordable handgun. It doesn't have all the accoutrements that you might find on other guns. It comes with just the gun itself, a lock, and a spare magazine. So I believe it ships with 2 magazines. You're not going to have adjustable back straps. It does not have ambi controls. It's definitely set up for a right-handed shooter. This one does have a manual safety on it, but the size of the gun is about the same size as that Glock 19. It also holds 15 rounds in its metal magazine. So we've brought out a couple of different flavors of ammo this afternoon. We have some Freedom 124 grain newly manufactured stuff. This is like a standard military ball load that we want to shoot out of the pistol to see how it functions with a standard 124 grain load. Freedom does donate ammunition to the channel. We'd like to thank them for doing that, but we also get a 6% discount code that they give to you, our viewers, as a thank you. We don't receive any financial kickbacks from the use of that code, but the code is down below, and it's good for any product that's in their store, and they sell ammunition other than their own Freedom Munitions brand, but do check them out. So we have some of the 124 grain ball stuff, and then we picked up some of the 115 grain jacketed hollow point Freedom Munitions stuff just to see how well the gun works with hollow points, since it's definitely targeting the concealed carry market. Now, one thing I want to point out before we get into shooting is that while this looks like a polymer frame striker fired handgun, it's polymer framed, but it actually has a little hammer in there. It's a lot like the LCP. A lot of folks have said it looks and feels like an upsized LCP. But I think it's more complex than that. So we'll delve into it a little bit more. We'll take a look at the guts on the inside, but I did want to let you guys know it's not striker fired, it's actually hammer fired. And yeah, let's see how well this gun works. So we're gonna load up a few magazines here of some ball rounds and some hollow points and do a little bit of shooting. So up front we have, it's kind of angular looking, but we have beveled edges. So it's kind of rounded, so making it reholstering probably quite a bit easier. I use Kydex holsters, which maintain their shape, but some folks still like leather. And when you have that type of contouring where it kind of tapers, it helps you get your pistol back into your holster a little bit easier. We do have some front slide serrations. We do have a pick rail here across the bottom. And then on the front, we have a white dot that's not night sights. And then it's also dovetailed in there, so we have some windage adjustment there in the front sight. Coming back, we have a dingus on a trigger, which is inertial safety, which presumably will make this gun drop safe, but I'm not going to beat it with a rubber hammer here on the video this afternoon, so I'm just going to trust that it is drop safe until somebody else proves otherwise. And we do have a polymer frame steel slide, large broad serrations back here, a nice texturing. It feels pretty good. We don't have adjustable grip panels or anything, but for my large hands, the gun feels pretty good. Has a nice large trigger guard here, so even with the gloved hand, you can easily get your finger in there, unlike my Glock 19, which is one of the many reasons why I stopped carrying the Glock 19. On the bottom here, you'll notice that the grip has been kind of reduced, which when I load it, I can show you that it's designed so that you can strip a magazine out of the gun in a malfunction clearing drill, or if you actually do have a malfunction. On the rear sight, we have an Allen wrench screw here that you can loosen, adjust for windage. There's no elevation adjustments. You do have a rear sight here with kind of a U-notch to it. So you have a dot in the front, U-notch in the rear. Again, no tritium. Over on the left-hand side of the gun definitely is designed for right-handed shooters. You have a manual safety, which you can apply by pushing upwards on it. Now I have learned if you try to push here, you're not going to get anywhere. You have to push on the back of it to get it to go on, but then to brush it off, it brushes off very easily with the brush of a thumb. You have your slide stop, slide release here. It's textured on both sides, so I'm assuming Ruger intends it to be used in both capacities. You can easily lock the slide to the rear, and then if you want to use the slide stop to chamber around, you can certainly do that. The slide stop has a protective fencing around it, but it does not get in the way of the manipulation of the slide stop, slide release. And then we have our standard magazine release there. So again, the gun is hammer fired, has a little tiny hammer inside there. We have metal magazines. They're really small, but they hold 15 rounds, and it just so happens the first 15 rounds I'm going to put through this gun are the Freedom Munitions 115 grain hollow points. So there you have a good look at the hollow points are going to fire. We have our challenge target about 20 yards down range. And let's see if the sights are on, or if I'm on. All right, so I dropped two. Looks like the gun's shooting slightly to the right with those hollow points. So I have to kind of favor to the left of the plate a little bit. Let's try it with some ball rounds. But I will say that the recoil is really mild. Very easy to control. It's a comfortable gun to shoot. Now, I will point out, here's where you can see the stippling here on the grip. You have a shelf there where you can strip the magazine out if you need to, unlike the Glock Gen 5s, kind of a goofy arrangement on the Gen 5s. This is the arrangement I like to have here in case you have to strip the magazine out for a malfunction. I'm going to go ahead and insert a magazine into the gun, hit the slide release. Sure enough, works just fine. And these are the 124 grain ball rounds. All right, so those seem to be a little bit high and left. So the hollow points were shooting just a little bit to the right of the target, and the ball rounds are shooting a little bit high and left. But I can figure out where to adjust it. So depending on what rounds you're using, it looks like your point of impact is going to shift, but that's not uncommon with handguns. I should have one more magazine, I think, here of ball rounds, and I do. So it does, I'll show you guys this. The magazines do drop free of the gun when it's empty. And yep, that slide release works just fine. Let's see if I can hold it just right to make sure I connect every time now. Every time I drop 2 rounds. I don't know if it's me just not interfacing with the gun right, but yeah, they want to shoot a little bit to the left. I'm holding on the right edge of the plate at about 25 yards. The gun does not have a magazine safety, but even though it's hammer fired, it does not have second strike capabilities either. So we're just going to keep shooting the gun this afternoon, have some fun with it here. I'm going to see how many rounds I can get through it. Hopefully we can get maybe 300-400 rounds through it. And me not hitting every single time could just be me getting used to the gun. I'm not used to this particular pistol. Even though it's hammer fired, it feels very much like a striker fired gun. The trigger feels like a striker fired gun trigger. Let me show you what the reset and stuff looks like on it. It has kind of a tinny sound to it when the hammer falls, but you can see I take up the slack right about there. It's going to break. Trigger comes all the way back, has a little hard stop right there that's going to hit the trigger guard. Show you where the reset is. Right there's reset, and there's full release. Take up, right there you start to meet resistance. Break. Reset, right there, full release. So that'll give you an idea of how the trigger functions on the Security 9. Let's load up some more ammunition, see if I can't get the hang of this little guy. I do like the sight picture. But yeah, I think I just need to learn how to shoot the gun. So we'll see if I can't do that. I'll keep this short, guys. YouTube is making it harder and harder for gun channels to exist on their platform, and that's in a number of different ways. First of all, they censor our content pretty heavily, and they demonetize our videos. A great way to support us at the Military Arms channel is to swing by and become a patron supporter. Over on Patreon, you get all sorts of behind-the-scenes information, giveaways, deals on all sorts of stuff from Copper Custom. Just swing by, check out patreon.com/militaryarms. Another great way to support us is to go buy our Forged from Freedom t-shirt store. There's a link down in the description below. If you'd like to have this full semi-automatic t-shirt, it can be yours. Just follow the link down below. Thanks for supporting us, guys. The gun does not have a magazine safety, so you don't have to worry about that. I hate magazine safeties. There's one thing that's kind of quirky about the gun I don't like. So when you go chamber a live round to make the gun ready to shoot, if you want to use your thumb to brush the safety on, no amount of pressure you apply holding a gun like this will allow you to put that safety in the on position. You can use your offhand to push it up because you have to push on the back side of the safety lever, which you can't really do from this position, or you can break your grip and put the safety on. But coming off, it's very easy just to brush off like a 1911, but trying to brush it back on, not going to work. So that's kind of a quirk. Now with the safety on, the slide's locked forward, so it won't. It can't be loaded or unloaded with the safety on, but it does keep the gun from firing. All right, got 124 grain ball rounds here, and let's do a little bit more shooting and see if I can master this little guy. All 15 rounds connected, but I can't say I'm getting a great group, and I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's just me not interfacing well with the gun, but at 20 yards, you know, I can typically shoot other pistols, my CZs and stuff, much better than that. I don't know if it's the gun or me. It's probably me, the loose butt behind the butt, the loose nut behind the butt plate. Let's try 15 more, but I walked out to the edges there a couple of times, which is not real good. It's not a very big target. Missed that one. All right, so the first shot I dropped, I tried to shoot just a little bit faster, but again, we're looking at a group about like that. I dropped one out of, what, 30 rounds? Yeah, I don't know. Jason shot it, he had about the same results. I don't know if it's the gun or if it's me or just the human interface factor, but the gun feels good in my hands. I like the way it feels. Magazine drops free, like that, like the ability to strip the magazine out if I need to. Don't care much for the safety, not being able to put that on without having to use my offhand or break my grip. Sights seem good, gun's nice and light. I like the way it's contoured, looks good, but for whatever reason, I don't know, maybe I just need to shoot it some more. So I'm gonna shoot it some more, see if we can't get this thing to shoot, you know, decent sized groups. We've come to about 7 yards to our challenge target, the falling plate rack, which is a little bit more representative of what you might run into if you get into a gunfight. Most gunfights happen at bad breath distances. This is a little bit further out, but 7 yards is a pretty good indicator of the combat accuracy of a handgun. We got 115 grain hollow points in here, and let's see how well I can knock these plates over with the Security 9. All right, let's see where those hit. Those look like they mostly hit center a little bit high. A little bit high. That could be me. Let's try it one more time. Should have enough rounds. All right. Again, a little bit high. And I'm out. Yeah, I got another magazine in here. Magazine didn't drop free. All right. That second plate, I keep hitting high. A little bit too much slack here. There we go. Got one more mag in here somewhere. We've moved up to the 7-yard line, shooting some of the ball ammo. I'm just going to see if I can get some semblance of a group out of the little Security 9 here. All right, so, I mean, it's shooting okay, maybe just a little bit left, but put this in a pocket so I don't pull out an empty magazine. Seems, yeah, a little bit left. Let's move over to the IPSC target and do center mass shots. Yeah, I mean, I think I'm just having to master the gun. I'm getting used to it now. We're probably about 250, 300 rounds in, and I'm starting to figure the gun out. Oh, look, I got another magazine. Those were actually hollow points, I think, on that last one. Here, we got this little square target over here. I don't think it's going to fall over. At least I hope it doesn't. Yeah, so it's shooting a point of aim, 7 yards. I'm getting used to it. You can see, even with my large hands, I don't need an extended magazine. I can get all my fingers onto the gun, the controls, with the exception of the safety, not being able to be brushed on with the firing hand thumb. It's about the only ergonomic ding I can find for the gun. I'm getting, you know, no discomfort, anything back there. It fits good in my hand, points true. I actually like the sights. The sights are nice and broad, and yeah, and you really can't tell that it's a hammer. It really does feel like a striker-fired pistol. Let's take the Ruger apart. Pretty simple to do, but it's not exactly ordinary. So first of all, we're gonna make sure the gun's empty. I'm gonna hit the magazine release right here with my thumb, pop the mag out, push up on the slide stop while pulling back on the slide, and then I can visually inspect to make sure that the chamber's empty, which it is. And let the slide go home. Now you're gonna notice there's this little square button right here. This is your takedown pin. On the other side of the gun, you're gonna notice the absence of anything to push on. That's because you're gonna use the rim of a case to pry this up. So I'm going to pull the slide slightly to the rear. And I'm going to use the rim of a 9mm case. I'm going to try to pop that little pin out just like that. Okay? And once it breaks free, just pull the pin out, lay it to the side, and now you can take the two halves apart. Notice I did not have to pull the trigger. So it's not like a striker-fired gun. Many striker-fired guns, you have to pull the trigger or release the sear before you can take it apart. That's not the case with this pistol. Now this is your hammer right here. So when I pull the trigger, you can see that little hammer come up. Now don't pull the trigger and not have your finger there to catch it, because you don't want that to go sailing or otherwise break the gun, but you can see the little hammer right there. So it has that little teeny tiny hammer versus a striker. All right, so polymer frame, nice and light. On the other end, we have a standard conventional slide with a Browning type action. It is a captive recoil spring. The guide rod is polymer, flexes. And then we have our barrel. Just pop the barrel up and out, and you'll see this exaggerated cut on the barrel. That's for the tilt locking, so I am assuming that acts in the place of a bushing. You can see a line right around the edge of the barrel where the slide grips the barrel tightly when it's fully in battery. Put it back together, put the barrel in, take the recoil spring, take the flat part, make sure it goes back here. Just set it on its little perch like that. You do have metal rails that are setting inside the polymer frame. Slide the two together, pull it back slightly, take your takedown pin, and that little deep cut right there, you're going to want facing up, okay? So pull it slightly to the rear, put your pin in, push, and your pistol is back together and ready to go back shooting. The Ruger American is a bigger, heavier handgun that's also striker fired as compared to the Security 9. The Security 9 is lighter. It's just a little bit smaller than the Ruger American. You can see that the grip length is just a little bit shorter on the Ruger Security 9 versus the American. The American has 17 rounds. The Security 9 holds 15. But the Security 9 is a much lighter, handier, better suited handgun, I believe, for concealed carry, where the Ruger American's a bigger, heavier option that is a little bit longer, will print more, and isn't nearly as well suited as its smaller Security 9 cousin. But with the Ruger American, you get the ambi controls and the ambi magazine release and things like that. So if you're a left-handed shooter, something to think about. But if I was going to pick one of the two to carry, it would definitely be the Security 9. The Ruger Security 9 seems to fill a niche. First of all, the handgun comes to market right around $315 is where I'm finding the price point online at its lowest. So it ranges anywhere between $349 and about $315, which makes it a very affordable handgun. Now, with that comes some features that have been deleted, like ambi controls. If you're a right-handed shooter, not a problem. Roughly 13% of the population is left-handed, and this might not be their best solution because the gun certainly favors a right-handed shooter. However, you can shoot it left-handed. Most left-handed shooters have just gotten used to the fact that they live in a right-handed person's world. The sights, low profile, snag-free. You'll notice the gun's contoured nicely. There's no sharp edges, so you have a nice contour here. So if you're pulling the weapon from underneath clothing, from concealment, you're not going to snag. It is hammer fired, but the hammer is well inside the slide, so you don't have a hammer sticking out. The muzzle of the weapon has a nice taper to it. Again, good for concealed carry, easy to get it back into a leather holster or even to line it up with a Kydex holster. The sight arrangement, dot up front, U in the back. You've seen that type of sight arrangement before, and you do have adjustment for windage on the handgun. The ergonomics of the gun, I like. It's a hammer-fired gun, but it feels like a striker-fired handgun. The trigger's nice and crisp, a little bit of take-up, a little bit spongy, but it's still better than a Glock trigger, if you ask me. Has a decent little trigger on it. The sights are nice and broad, easy to pick up. The only thing I don't like from an ergonomic standpoint is the fact that when I go to put the safety on, I can't do it by loading the gun, making it ready, and just brushing the safety on like a 1911. I have to use my offhand, or I have to break my grip and put the safety on. But brushing it off, really easy to do. With this gun, we've had 0 malfunctions today. We've probably shot 350, 400 rounds. Didn't clean the gun, didn't do anything to it. Literally just took it right out of the box and it functioned 100%. So good function, good trigger, really good fighting combat sights. They're not match sights, but this is a Security 9, so obviously it's intended for a concealed carry market. And I think and that roll, it's going to do well. It's a nice, small, thin package that holds 15 rounds of 9mm. And again, like I said, it seems to be really reliable, and it comes to market at a very attractive price point. So aside from that one ding, I like it. You have that front serrations if you like to do the press checks. If you don't like them, you can ignore them. So, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you learned something about the Ruger Security 9. I'll continue to shoot it, play around with it. I did have to get used to shooting it. I'm not going to say it's unergonomic. It's actually quite ergonomic. It feels good in my hands. Even the stippling feels good. It's not like sandpaper, so it's not going to be abrasive up against your skin if you're carrying it concealed. But yeah, I like this little pistol, and I think for the $315 to $350, it's going to be a strong competitor for those folks out there looking for a Glock 19 sized handgun, but you don't want to pay the price for a Glock 19. Guys, if you'd like to support us, another great way to support us here at the Military Arms Channel is just to swing by and check us out over at Copper Custom. That's coppercustom.com. Also, if you haven't already, swing by and check out full30.com. We've been on YouTube now for 10 years, but we may not be here 10 years from now. YouTube seems to have a problem with our content. And yeah, so we've moved over to full30.com. A lot of gun channels are moving over to full30.com, and that's where freedom rings, guys. So if you are watching one of your favorite gun channels, just like Small Arms Solutions just recently got punted from YouTube. Hopefully they get their channel back. But if you can't find them on YouTube, if your favorite channel gets punted, go over and look at full30.com. Hopefully you'll find them over there. We are opening the site up to other gun content creators and other content creators in general. All right, guys, let's fire off the last few rounds out of the Security 9, and we'll talk to you guys later. Oh yeah, and sometimes I ride that slide stop and it doesn't lock open, but that's user error. It's not the gun. All right, talk to you guys later.